Sheena Reynolds, tell us about yourself. Welcome. I'm excited.
Oh my God. All the narcissistic behaviors you want? No, I'm joking. Nobody ever asked me to speak about myself except on weird dates because it's a little awkward to me just to talk about myself. Usually I like to ask people questions about themselves. So if you can be more specific and ask me what you want to know, it would be easier for me.
Okay. It's actually something ironic that I find because you are a deeply introspective person. You have a lot of history. This show is about people that take their life experiences and they use them, or they convert them into ingredients that they use to feed others. They turn their adversities into advantages.
Exactly.
And I say it's ironic because I find your greatest self only comes when you go inside and you learn who you actually are. People are pursuing their purpose, constantly trying to pursue their purpose, and yet they feel it's narcissistic to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
When that's exactly who you should be showcasing is yourself, because everything else is about presenting some facade. You're acting out to present yourself for someone else. So I want to know who's Sheena. You and I have talked. I'll ask questions if that makes you feel better.
Okay.
You and I have talked. You began telling a story about you and your sister. Your dad has been to prison. This is something that we have in common. And you've shared various stories related to that. So my beautiful Israeli friend, tell me, introduce that part.
Yes. So growing up in a household, especially in the Middle East, that your father was sitting in jail for murder, obviously society and the people that surround you would judge you like nonstop. And when I'm saying judge you, it's every single thing that you do or say. Even like kids in school, oh, what are you going to do? Call your father to hurt me? Or, oh my God, your father is a killer. Are you going to be a killer? Are you a serial killer? Or if we drive in the school bus, they say, oh, she's a serial killer. And when people say things about you, you start to think, am I capable to kill someone? What would I do if I would be in his situation? Can I do that? And you start, and I got really into criminology and start reading books about it and watching shows about serial killers and killers in general and Mossad agent killers and FBIs. And, I wanted to know all about it. I was obsessed for a few years. And, when you're young and your inner conversation is not as deep, you ask questions, but you not fully answer the answers, because you just don't know how to be sincere with yourself. Like if you're jealous or if you're scared, we don't know how to say it to ourselves without being scared to admit things to ourselves, right? And for a long time, I was really scared that maybe I could be a killer too, even though it was nothing there to bring me to that position. And when I go to visit in prison, my dad, it's not, the prisons in Israel is not strict in the way when you come to visit, like in America. If you talk, they say, don't talk, like this. In Israel, like if you get to know someone nice and you kind of take care of them, like money-wise gifts, you can pretty much speak free. And what I mean when I say that, we would come to the prison Saturday morning and sit on a table outside with flowers and tables, and your dad would bring you candy. It's surrealistic. It's like you go to sit in a nice coffee in Tel Aviv or
Really?
West LA. Yes. And except the suit that they wear in the either brown or orange, it's literally like you're sitting in a coffee place with your family and having a chat, drinking coffee, eating some like candies, cookies, whatever. And one day it was this prisoner that I knew. He was very famous, like all the famous people back then, famous, notorious famous, sit with my dad. And my dad everybody knew him as, they call him the brain. He was very smart, right? So this guy was walking around and he didn't have visitors, right? He was sitting in jail for murdering a little kid. He kidnapped him and wrapped him in a carpet and put him in the car, tried to kidnap him, to molest him, I guess. But he died in the carpet. He couldn't breathe. And, I saw this kid and my parents were reckless at the time because this guy was an artist. He also do paintings, like unique paintings, right? So he would draw paintings to my family. Like he draw one time a painting. It's a mom, dad, the dad holding a suitcase, and then you see like freedom birds in the side, and my mom would hang them in the living room. And every time I see him, I felt like weird, like awkward. We have his paintings in our living room. And I understood, I didn't know how to explain, but I understood back then that my dad liked him because my dad was very intellectual. He's very intellectual. And most of the people that sit with him, they were like, like really bad neighborhoods, never read any books. And my dad have a common denominator with him, like he was reading books and they could speak with the intellectual language. So my dad kind of took him under his wing, protected him, and he kind of made him kind of a slave mentality, like go bring this, do that, and protected him and nobody gonna beat him up, right? And when we come to prison to see my dad, he was wandering around by himself, like say, hey, do you want a drink? Do you need help? Like this demeanor. And he had like a bald head, a little hair here, very oily skin, open pores. I remember every detail. And one day I just approached him. I said, didn't you the guy that killed Oron, like the kid? He said, yeah, how do you know? I'm like, I watch the news. Oh, I know a lot about murder. That's what I told him. And I was only like 9 years old, And I had a diary that I write everything, every detail, right? So then I asked him, how did you feel when you realized he died? Did you feel weird? I start asking him very, very weird, like deep questions. And I could literally saw in his eyes that he didn't expect a 9-year-old kid ask him these questions.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I knew he met my friend Conscience. Because Conscience is my best friend my whole life. And I knew he met Conscience. And Conscience hit because a 9-year-old girl asking you all these deep questions. How did you feel? Do you feel guilty? Do you think about him? Do you see his face when you go to sleep?
Yeah.
I ask thorough questions that I could see his face. His skin become more oily and more sweaty. And I'm writing about it in my book. And I met so many people that my parents were reckless to put me, like my dad saw that we were speaking and never said to me, come here, don't talk to him. Or the guards. You understand?
Yeah.
And these killers and mafia and cons and because in the prison there in Israel, it's not like here. You have like people who their bomb like a Israeli coffee place, and a lot of Jews, Christians, and Muslims died, and they could sit with my dad. And you had other people who killed Muslims or regular people, but they're all there. They're all prisoners, right?
Yeah. So
we would even, when we finish like the visit, we would take to home. We give lift to the Palestinian women to their village. Today it's super dangerous, but back then it was like normal. I remember the burger they had on their nose and how they would move the fly from their faces, like little details like that it's crazy. But this is what made me understand people, because back then I used to sit a lot and absorb, look at people for hours and absorb, like Jews, Palestinians, killers, rapists. Like I would look at them, I would look at their body language and mimic how they speak. And I knew how to jump into characters. If like a girl would be mean to me, I would know how to change my demeanor and talk like a mafia girl. Like, don't come near me, I'll kill you, as a kid. And, I was like a afraid little kid, but I would know how to utilize it to me. If somebody say your dad is a killer, I'm like, watch out, like this.
I have not sat across from somebody that looks like you and imagine you killing me, but thank you for that just now. I'm scarred.
Sorry.
Now I need therapy.
I'm definitely not a killer.
I appreciate you sharing that. My experience was a little different with prisons because here in America, so I grew up going to visit my dad in Rayford Prison in Florida. And I remember one of my first experiences was taking a cup of Chef Boyardee, like the little pasta for kids.
Oh, okay.
And I put it in the wrong microwave, and I didn't take the aluminum off of it. So I put it in the microwave and I blew up this microwave, but it was the wrong microwave. So in this prison, you have like the white microwave, the black microwave, and the Hispanic or the Latin microwave. So I got my dad in trouble, and we ended up having to buy, I think my grandmother had to buy more shoes for people. Like she had to send certain shoes to the prison so my dad could pay out. Anyway, it's a different experience.
I know we had similar stuff also.
You amaze me because I attended a yoga retreat with you, or a yoga day.
Meditation.
Meditation, not yoga. Sorry.
People confuse.
Yeah. I'm new to California. I'm learning.
Yeah.
Trust me, I get corrected every time when I'm like, yeah, we did breathing. And they're like, oh, you did breathing? You did this. Like, no, that's not what we did. We did this. No, that wasn't breathing. That was this. And I was like, oh, okay, sorry. But, okay, so meditation. I say that you surprised me because first, I never successfully meditated prior to September of 2023. And then I had some very profound meditations. And when you started speaking, I started to actually hear who you were. And it was as if the veil that you had put up, or that, I had perceived, right, dropped. And I got to understand more about who Sheena is, not by anything that you were saying in your normal day-to-day thing, but in the context of I am vulnerable in that state, and I'm in this room with all of these other people that are vulnerable with their eyes shut. And you walked around, you did your best to put us in a good mental state, and then you started speaking affirmations over every person there, some of whom you physically touched. I remember you touching me twice, and nearly breaking down. I nearly broke down because I'm going through a divorce. And I remember you walking over, you put your hand on my chest and you said, you're a good father. And where I was in the meditation at that time, I was able to receive your words. And that hit me the way that you did that. But then I was cognizant that you were doing that to everyone as you walked around. And I felt like you knew everyone in the room. It was either you knew everyone in the room, or there was something channeling through you that allows you to speak the words that that particular person needed at that particular time. Where does that come from?
Okay, I actually never talked about it in public, but it's a nice question. I had a clinical death when I was 23.
Okay.
And prior to that, I was an atheist my whole life. My dad is an atheist. I never believed in anything. My mom is really believing in God, and my dad doesn't. And I always wanted to be like my dad. Like I looked up to him, and I was like, no, I don't believe in God. It's bullshit. Like I need to see evidence, you know?
Yeah.
And when I had the clinical death, it was weird because I landed in Israel the same day I find out that my cousin have a wedding. And I was a 23-year-old. I thought I know it all. I go to the wedding. I took a few shots in the end of the wedding and drink wine. And I didn't know I'm allergic to alcohol. So I start feeling weird. And then the wedding finished. We go into the car and I had two of my aunts, one driving, one sitting in the seat next to her. And I was like between the two hands in front of them, right? And then I start feeling weird, like in a weird way that I cannot control my body. I couldn't breathe in and out. It started like slowly, gradually. And then I start having this conversation in my head. Like, God, what are you doing? Did you brought me to the Holy Land to kill me? Do you want me to promise you that I'm going to be religious? That I'm going to be Orthodox? That I'm going to believe in you? Don't do that, because I can't believe in you just because you want me to. I need to go through something to understand that you actually really exist. You know, I'm an atheist, and I was a very strong atheist. All of a sudden, I felt like in the movie, actually, when I saw the movie, it freaked me out. In the movie, I don't know if you saw it, it's called Stargate. Like they moved from one dimension to the other, and you see like going to one second dimension.
Okay.
And I felt like I'm going to a second dimension without knowing that. And then I start feeling like light in my body and loved. And if I want to really describe it, it's like an emotional orgasm. Like everything is perfect. I don't need anything. I want to stay here. It's amazing. I'm floating. And then I look down and I don't see a body. I go like this. I don't see hands. I don't see anything. And then I hear somebody talking behind me, but I don't know how to explain it. It's not like he's talking with his mouth. It's like telepathy talking. It's like he put this
Yep.
thinks in, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like he put it in my head. And then I said, what? I'm like, wait a minute, who are you? I'm turning around, nobody's there. I'm turning from here, nobody's here. And we walk through a long corridor and rooms that it's all made of clouds, right? And he started to tell me, and I'm like, oh, I love it here. I want to stay here. I feel so good. I don't have a burden anymore in my stomach, in my neck, you know? I'm like, I want to stay here. It's so amazing. And then I see people who died coming, you know, my grandfather, you know. And then he said, I put you in this physical body in purpose. People are going to see something else and you're going to work hard to show something different. You feel people, touch people, and just realize you're going to feel them. You have to go back down. You have to go back down and you have to help people. But because I was back then, I was very chaotic.
Okay.
You couldn't talk to me at all because I was Mr. Know-it-all. I was becoming an actress. Everybody know me. I had a chip on my shoulder, you know? And I didn't understand that. I didn't understand what that meant. It was, of course, a lot more things happening. But when I came back down, I was really like, I didn't understand what happened. It was crazy. But the years that come after that, weird things start to happen. And I'm not a psychic. I'm not claimed to be. I'm not even believing in these things. Just weird things happening. So I have to own it, you know? Like I would come to somebody's house to sleep and then I dream of the mother of the house. She died. That she tell me things. In this house, you could do this. You could, and then I tell her, say, it's so weird. My mother was like this. Or like weird things, you know? Yeah. And, you know, when I came here, like when I was not listening to this inner intelligent voice that talked to me, bad things happen. And when I start to be in tune and listen, I'm like, I need to really help people. Or I would see a person and I see right through them and then I touch them and I'm like, you need to stop doing what you're doing. It happened to me with this specific girl. And I said, listen, you're sleeping with so many guys and you're not feeling good about it. This is not the way to get love. I know nobody love you, but start loving yourself. Start peeling the layers like an onion, please. And I would say something and like they were burst crying.
Yeah.
And they said, please help me. Like 2 days ago, I was in a party and I was sitting, they're all young people, 23. And then this multi-millionaire businessman go like, after we speak, and he was hitting on this girl. And I'm like, it's not the way to do it. Don't take, I know you're a really good person. I know you know, and he was like, you need to be my mentor. You tell me things that nobody told me. And like, I could see through people sometimes and because their ego or they don't do inner work or they're scared that people expose them, they look at me like I'm either bad or I scare them because people don't want to be exposed.
People don't want to look in the mirror.
Yeah, they don't want to have this inner conversation. And, you know, everybody almost working from the automatic pilot. And they used to come to a new crowd and say this story. Oh, yes, I did this and I did that. And they tell everybody the same story. And some of it is lies. And some of that is like how they want you to see them.
Right.
And they, you know, when you tell a lie for such a long time, you believe in that lie. And I try to help them to correct. It's okay to be you. Like, it's okay to be you. And with that being said, it's not about you and me going to a psychologist or therapist, fixing it and moving on. Because the therapy and the working on yourself and the inner conversation, it's something that it will never end. You always have to work on yourself from the inside. You always have to work on yourself as a person. You're born to learn endlessly and then you die with you know nothing. This is the secret. This is the real secret of life. You never stop learning and every person comes for a purpose to really teach you something about yourself or you taking something from them, you know, on yourself that you won't do or would do. You understand? Does that make sense? So
what are some of the things that you've learned?
From the clinical death?
From you, from life. You're here to learn all of these lessons. All of these things happen to you. And again, the sauce of life is about those experiences that you've had and how you then turn those into ingredients that you use. So what are the lessons, the experience that gave you the lessons? Because I feel that experiences are opportunities for learning.
Of course, always. It's blessings, actually. Yeah. I tell you what, I always knew how to make money, but I never knew how to keep it, right?
Okay.
And when I become homeless 5 years ago, one day I was sick. I lost all my clients. I find myself sleeping in the car with my son all alone. All my friends want nothing to do with me. Nobody want to let me stay in the house because if you're homeless, you're a loser. We don't need her. Everything is based on interest, right? And I'm like thinking with myself, wait a minute, you can't break. You have to look at the end goal, right? And, you know, I came to a point that I don't believe in God anymore, you know, because I find like it's impossible. I've been through everything. And here in America, I'm not a religious person, but I am in tune, right? Because I met so many people who believe in religion and they all say the same thing. So religion, it's nothing for me. For me, it's, you know, the direct connection. So I'll find myself sitting in a hospital by myself, talking to myself. I said, God, if you really exist, I promise you that this time, if I make money, I will never be reckless like this because I have to take care of a child, right? Not just, I didn't even look at myself. Yeah. Like, we have to, like, I have to change this. You have to help me change this. Just give me a little sign. And I opened the book of Tehillim. It's a very, very strong book in Judaism. You know, Judaism based on science. And it's a lot of books that I really treasure because they teach you skills of life. And I just opened that randomly. And it's like God here. And then a second later, and I read it loud. I said, I read from the book loud, right? Because I believe in hearing myself. 2 seconds later, it's a Jewish doctor come into the room and say, in Hebrew, are you speaking Hebrew? Thank God it's a Jewish here. It's no way that it could be a Jewish person there, right? And somebody who speak Hebrew and the doctor.
Wow.
And it was like a clear sign. I'm like, okay, so you exist, but what's the purpose? I don't want to be religious. I don't believe in religion because I think even as a Jewish, I know a lot of Jewish do it the right way, but a lot of them do it the wrong way. People stuck in the non-important thing of the religion. Right. And I don't want to be that person that divide, like he's black, he's Christian, he's Jewish, like groups, you know? I don't like groups. I think that we all need to be evolved and open. I could sit with a Christian and learn a lot. I can sit with different cultures and learn. And then I realized this is my power and I have to use my power. And I promised myself, and I swear to God, a year and a half later, I bought the 2 houses. Ask me why? I don't know. Because my secret is always not to ask how it's going to happen. I never ask how. I just look at the end goal and put the work and open myself, like, you know, seeing everything, the little details, look at the signs, meet the people, try to see the good in others, because my motto is if I see the good in people, I see the good in myself. It's a famous Jewish saying that say, if you see the bad in people, aposel bemumo posel. It means if you cancel someone, because you cancel in yourself.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I always try to see the good in people. And even if someone is obnoxious, you know, horrible to you, I try to be extra nice because it would put them in an awkward situation and they would feel embarrassed. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I know it's a hard work, but.
No, that's beautiful. You just said a lot of stuff in there that if somebody were to go back and listen to this again, you dropped so many pearls of wisdom in there. And this is a part of what I love about you is perception doesn't match the reality of who you are. And I shared that with you before, my perception that I had. And then I got to know you and it was like, holy crap, you're the exact opposite of anything I've thought in my mind. And so you became a mirror for me. And it just so happens that I'm a guy that likes to reflect and understand who I am. You just said something about success or on success. And I was sharing earlier that what I find common amongst all successful people is they have a dream or a vision. They take action towards it and they don't quit. And you're not a quitter. I'm
not.
You've fallen. What is an example of times that maybe you've failed or if you've fallen, you've struggled, but you then use that struggle to stand on to move your life forward.
The most important thing to me that it's like we talked about race and look, like I'm short, I'm skinny. Remember, like we go out of the house and people can judge you for being black. They can say anything. Oh, they only know sports, or oh, it could be ghetto, or oh, she's short. She looks like a porn star, or whatever it is. They judge me.
Who says I'm black? I'm Polish.
Yeah, but you know how people, people don't understand, and I try to explain it. We're talking about race. Like a lot of people say, oh, they're always complaining. People don't know what it is when you're in a form of something that is different, that people always keep judging you. And to me, I was so tired to go out to the world and every man think I'm a gold digger. Every man think I'm dumb blonde or stupid, ignorant immigrants, And I'm like...
I'm looking in the camera. Not a porn star, not a dumb blonde, not ignorant. None of that. The exact opposite of all of it.
Yeah, the struggle was mainly with myself and with in front of other people. That, what I decided? Because one time my friend told me something and it was very smart. She said, "You're so smart and articulate. Why you never show this side? Why you never show it? Why you always quiet? Everything you have inside, just get it out to the world." And I was like, oh my God, she's so right. Why I never talk? Why I never show this side? Because I work before in a superficial, professions, and my superficiality, and I'm knowledgeable about it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm also exactly the opposite. So why would I not talk about it? Why would I not show it? And I would be maybe from the first women that, okay, I could look attractive, I could look plastic, whatever you want to call me, that's fine. But I'll school you, just you as a black man, that you can go to a circle of people that they would prejudge you. Oh, he's black, they're not knowing for this or for that, whatever. And then you school them with how you talk in your brain, and you embarrassing them and make them feel ignorant because they judged you.
Yep.
You understand? How can you be so educated? Oh, you're not just famous for being a basketball player or whatever, or a rapper. You don't have to be just a basketball player or a rapper. Right?
Right.
And I said, you know what? I'll school them to death with my wisdom, with my brain, with my tongue. And for me, it's become an obsession I decided, like, no matter what, even if I have to talk for 3 years for free and just talk in every stage I'll get, and I'll help all these women that have so much to give to the world and need to be apologetic. And also, with that being said, a lot of women, versus to men, and I know women gonna hate me for that, they fall into this category unknowingly. Like, if they're beautiful, everything around their beauty. If they're smart, it's only because she's smart, but she would not enhance her beauty because she always want to show how smart she is.
Right.
And I don't see contradiction. You can be sexual, you can be beautiful, you can be amazing, but you can be very deep, very knowledgeable. Nothing for every human being on this planet, it's not contradictable if you really take the time to think and reorganize what you want your perception to be. Because if one person climbed the Everest or being a doctor, another human being from flesh and blood could do the same thing. And the limits, it's truly in our mind. And not just in our mind, we give the limitation to the people in front of us, how they look at us. We continue let them look at us how they are looking at us, instead of helping them to change their perception. You understand?
Yes.
This is the most important thing. If you're in a circle, the people treat you the same way, look at you the same way. You need to leave that circle. You need to leave that circle and evolve and open to other circles and talk and speak and always bring value in the way that, if I'm doing Botox, for example, and this group of women I want to get involved with think I'm superficial and Botox is the only thing I can offer them, I would offer that Botox. But when I have one-on-one time with her, I would get into a deep conversation. And she was like, wow, I didn't know you so deep. And then she want to be my friend. She want to get involved with me. She want to hang out with me.
Right.
She think I bring her value. You understand?
But this is a part of, as I I told you, I have authentic conversations. I don't do superficial anymore.
Yeah.
I'm
told me. I'm the same.
incapable of superficial conversation. And so I had a very real and honest conversation with you about the perception that I had the first time I ever saw you, when I walked into the studio and whatever, and the reality.
Yeah.
And the reality hit me in the meditation and listening to you actually speak and understand that there's the amount of wisdom that came out of you and the amount of love that came out of you. That's what I felt, by the way.
Yes.
If I didn't articulate that already, it was your meditation. I felt loved. I felt like even though you don't actually know me and there's nothing there, you didn't care. You loved me. And in that moment, I was under your care. And every other person, those that actually gave in to it, felt that same. Because I've talked with other energies that were there, other people that were there.
They tell you? Oh, I didn't hear it.
We have conversations about you.
Oh, it's nice.
Right? Because the only other successful meditation that I had ever done was with Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh my God.
And
I just met him not long ago, by the way.
He's awesome. I did some very powerful meditations with him. And he actually came off the stage and walked into the crowd and found me out of this sea of 1,800 people, by the way. And then he gave me a hug in the hallway after the conference had ended. And I told him that we're going to be friends one day. I'm sticking to that. We're going to be friends one day, Dr. Joe. But anyway, you've become the embodiment of what you set your desires to be.
Yes.
You want to be beautiful. You want to be sexy. You want to be this. You want to, you don't hide your accent. None of that stuff. You are who you are. And then you open your mouth and people realize just how intelligent you actually are. And if anybody thinks or thought that you were dumb, blonde, or just a stereotypical LA girl, like they're in for a rude awakening. But then you go even deeper and you start to understand that there's a lot of adversities that you've gone through in your life with your dad and being bullied because of your dad.
Yeah.
And, those traumas that you suffered. If you don't mind speaking about that a little bit, because you inspired the crap out of me, because you use those traumas as fuel to become this amazing human being that you are walking around as today.
I can't believe you say that, because I'll tell you something. I didn't even realize what you just said. It's something that I had the realization not long ago, literally 2 months ago. I'll explain. Every time somebody told me you're ugly, you're stupid, because I have ADHD, dysmorphia, dyslexia, I have all these conditions. I was in an incubator for like 3.5 months. And then I injured in a terror attack. I hit my head really hard on top of everything, right? And
October 7th? No, when you were a kid?
25 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
And on top of it, and the clinical death. So I was like, I'm going to take every time somebody told me, you can't do it, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're short, you this, you that. Every time something amazing come out of it. I remember I wanted to act, but I was not really looking or trying. But I did makeup a lot of years. And I did makeup on TV one time. And this director said, oh my God, you make me laugh. You know how to do accents. And he invited me to audition. I ended up not going. But then I saw another director. They did a TV show about a prison. And I'm like, oh my God, that's for me. I need to be there. And I called with a different voice. I lied. I did some maneuver to get into this audition. And I came to the audition. They tell me it's no audition for this TV show. It's audition for a different TV show that you have to be a mental ill, character. So I dressed like completely lunatic. I put like a ski vesting with suspenders and like a short, like a tank top, you call it.
Yeah.
And a lot of black in my eyes, like it's drooping like I'm crazy. And I put my hair up with my eyes like this. And I came and I was in the audition need to be in front of like 20 famous Israeli actors, like really famous, like equivalent, like if you see Al Pacino here. And I need to come in front of them and pretend spontaneously how I'm a mental institute woman and come with that character. So I knew my accent, it's my strong side. So I learned little phrases from transporting, Scottish. And I learned like basic instinct, like, you know, like characters from movies. And I came in front of them. Of course, I knew, you know, my boobs is going to draw the guys. And then my eyes and my acting going to draw the girls. Cause, you know, I was divided in my head. You know how
Yeah.
and I utilize it, you know, my sexiness, whatever, my talent. And I came and I go and I played the character Sharon Stone from Basic Instinct. I sit and they didn't know what I was going to do because it's improv. And I sit like that and I cross my leg. Of course, I had underwear, but I was like this and say, have you ever fucked on cocaine, Nick? You know, like that. And I remember the jar of all of them sitting in front of me, like they were like, what the fuck just happened? Like, who is she? You know? And then he took me to 4 TV shows.
Nice.
And one movie, and I did with his friend another movie. And I remember all the, you know, other actors that were less big saying she's just a bitch. She's not even that talented. I don't know why they're excited. And one of the girls that today she's like a huge star in Israel. She's a singer. Her name is Maya, and she's singing amazing. She was like imitating Whitney Houston and everything. And I was admiring her, right? And I know how to sing too. It was like at some point in my life, I had a dream to be a blues singer, like a black blues singer.
Okay.
Like singing you know?
I mean, you're a quarter black, so.
Yeah. That was my dream. I saw the color purple and I was like, you know?
No way.
Yeah. And like singing bye, 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 you know, like that. And she heard me singing.
You want to be Suge Avery. You want it to be Suge. Wow.
I don't know, like I do like a tap, do, you know, like do the pa 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 pa, you know, like that. And I was just a girl from Israel, and she liked me up until the point she saw me singing, and then she didn't like me. And that's what happened to me. Everywhere I go to audition, the women literally hated on me. It's impossible. She can sing. She can do accents. She's articulate. What's the catch? You understand?
Yeah.
And I would go on a date. What's the catch? Like, and I literally had to prove myself why I'm so talented. You understand? And I hated it. Like, and then I came to America, and everybody obviously thought I'm going to be all my friends and family. Like, she's going to act in America. She's going to kill it. She's so good.
Right.
And I was terrified. I'm like, I'm not good enough. I'm not talented enough. I was so insecure when I got here. I was poor. I landed with $2,000 and an 8-year-old, 7-year-old kid. You know? You know, I was working. I remember I was working cleaning Airbnb houses one time, and I was singing. And I would always like sing in order to forget that I'm cleaning, but I love the cleaning because I don't have to be a waitress and people see me. I would clean in the house alone, maybe 1 or 2 people, but I'm cleaning alone. I'm making my money and I go home. And I was singing Alicia Keys, and the guy said, wait a minute, did you just sing that? Why don't you go sing? And the voices of my mom, no, you could not be a singer, you know, like, you know, you're not good enough like American. You're Israeli, you have an accent. Like all these voices were in my head. And I kind of missed my prime because all the time that I could be a singer and actress, instead of believing in myself and I needed to survive, I needed to provide, I was like, you know, so I said, you know what? I'm not in my prime anymore. I cannot be like a 20-year-old singer or an actress.
What is a 20-year-old going to sing about? They're 20. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But I don't want to run.
I guess that was one of those thoughts that should have stayed in my head.
No, but I don't want to run between you and me. I don't want to run on stages. I don't want to, you know, because, you know, you have to be a little bit narcissistic to be a singer, especially in America, like Beyonce, Madonna, you know, Jennifer Lopez. You have to have a good dose amount of narcissistic, right? And I work on myself so much that my narcissism is under control, because we're all narcissists at some point, right? To some extent, sorry, right? So I said, you know what? I'll take this portion of narcissism and I'll turn it into really be a unique woman, because it's not a unique woman that I've seen that is attractive and smart, and they can talk about either plastic surgeries, like you know, bad childhood, and do meditation, and you know, I know I'm gonna bring something different to the table. And in this field, you know, you have to look at yourself like a stock mark. What is my value as a stock? And if I'm coming and competing an amazing, gorgeous black lady who sings, my stock is low next to her, right? So I have to look at myself as a stock, and what is my value as a stock? And I use that stock to utilize and grow. And if I put in myself competing with these girls, I'm not going to be here. But if I'm a motivational speaker who go through all this and writing my book and everything, and I know how to sing, it's different.
All of it. You're such an amazing package. First, I don't know many people that compare themselves to a monetary value or something of value, like a stock. When I'm mentoring people, I literally tell them to look at their time, the minutes of the day, the 1440 minutes of the day, as dollars in the account. And
that's how I do it too.
If you're a person that understands the Bible or tithing, and you're supposed to give 10% of yourself, 10% of your money to church or something like this, like you need to give 10% of your time to the betterment of yourself. And it sounds like you've spent a lifetime giving back to yourself. Like you understand that you are the commodity. You are that thing.
I'm the business.
Value. You are the business. And it's so amazing. I'm looking at the time and I'm just like, holy crap, because I feel like we've just scratched the surface. You have a stalker.
Yes.
A legit
I have a stalker.
Psychotic.
You saw the restraining order?
I've read the restraining order. You have a legit stalker. And yet, with everything that I know of you, and we have these conversations, you still smile and you still show up and you decide every single day to be Sheena and to walk in yourself. Like, this is who I am. And I'm just
I move that you see it, honestly, because I made a decision. I'm not afraid of anything, just so you know, because how I grew up, I've seen dead people in my life a lot. In terror attacks, in wars, like I've seen a lot of dead people. I've seen death. It was next to me for majority of my life. Not majority, portion of my life, sorry. So what's the ultimate thing that could happen? I'll die? Like we all die. It's guaranteed, like I'm not afraid to die. I'm more afraid not to try. Maybe I won't be a huge motivational speaker. Maybe my book would not be successful. Maybe people look at me on a podcast and say, hey, she's just dumb. I don't want to listen to her. I don't care about what she say. But at least with myself, I'd be so honest that I give everything. Worst case scenario, I love living in the woods. I love isolating myself. I have the best relationship with myself. I could be alone for days. Sometimes I shut off my phone. I don't answer anybody. I don't care if somebody get mad. I love being with myself because I always educate myself and learn. And I always have this saying that if you're bored when you're alone, you're in a bad company. I'm never in a bad company.
Right.
You understand?
Of course I understand.
And I say this thing all the time because we only live life forward and understand them backwards. I don't want to look back like I look today for other things I did and say, oh my God, I was in America. I was living in Los Angeles. Everybody dreamed to live in Los Angeles. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to do it. Like I told my son a lot of the time that he was like depressed or going through things. I'm like, listen, you're an Israeli kid living in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. You're super smart. You're super talented. You're not going to use it.
Great artist.
You're not going to be an artist. You're not going to at least try to accomplish your dreams. Right. You should be stupid not to do that. We should be stupid not to do that. And I tell you something else. You know how many times I was like sleeping in my car with my son and I would always park reverse. And my son said, Mom, why are you parking reverse? If he's homeless or somebody, a killer or somebody come, I just jump into the driving seat and go. And then I said, listen, don't worry. We're going to be in a good place. And I said, look at all these people that you see here, the homeless. You know what's the difference between us and them? And he was like, again, looking at me like I'm weird again. And I said, okay, they have social security. We have social security, right? But they born in America and they got social security, but they don't have the mental capacity to lift themselves with this social security. We come from nowhere, from the most dangerous place in the world. I work my ass off to get my social security. It's no way I'm going to throw it away and give up and go to Israel and say, I'm going to be a mediomio. You understand? I have a social security. I have everything. I have my social security. People don't understand that, And it's my dream to be an American. I hear the national anthem and I cry. And when I see people I know it sounds stupid.
That's probably because of the person singing that you're crying.
No. No, and I'll tell you why. Because I know your race been through slavery. I know a lot of other American been through things. I know the government, all of them, Republican and Democrat, been crap for the last 20 years, right? But you have to put all this aside and remember, you're in the greatest country in the world. And we have opportunities here. And you're an American and you're part of a huge culture. You have your own African American community that you sing amazing. You have your gospel. You have your athletes. You have your amazing people. One of the, like the big, not one, like a lot of the smartest people I met here were African American and other African that came from Trinidad and other places, right?
Yep.
And you have like the Indian community, which is amazing. And the white community that you have Jews, that you have amazing Baptist and Catholic. That's how I choose to see it. For me, I don't have thing for white, for black. I love everybody and I see the good in everybody. And when I look at it like that, I also take, I had a period that I learned how to cook Salisbury steak. And I went to like places that were cowboys and Indians. And I live in an area that was completely ghetto black. And I put my son in school and people thought I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And I experienced that really from being there. And I see the good. And if people think like that, it's always connecting because we all want to connect to one intelligent being.
God.
You understand?
We could have an entire flipping conversation just off this, but I have to be respectful of your time.
Sorry.
No worries. Listen, we have to keep talking. We're going to
talk more.
Of course, we'll always talk offline, but the knowledge that you and I have, I want to have you again as a guest because we want to keep this. So to wrap this up, I have a question for you. If this were the only time that they were going to hear you speak, you've had all of these amazing life experiences, and we haven't even scratched the surface of who Sheena Reynolds is. But you've had all of these amazing life experiences. If this were the only time that somebody were going to hear you speak, this snippet, what would you want them to know or to hear?
About me or about life? The most important thing to me that people have it as a lesson is listen to two things in life. Listen to your inner voice. Like look at the gray layers, absorb people and just listen. Because if you're the smarter guy in the room, you're stupid. You're not stupid. You're among stupid people. Because I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be with people who are better than me, that always elevate me. More beautiful, more smart, more successful, right? Second thing, listen to your intuition, to your inner voice. Because it's always a sign. If you want to go and have sex with a guy, even, sorry to say it like that, even if you're horny, you haven't sex for a long time, listen to your body. You don't want to give yourself, not in your intellect, not in your sexuality, not in your business. Why? Just to people who would not appreciate it or want to learn from it, or you grow from it, or it's something that it's for a long term. Listen to yourself, because your body will always tell you, don't let your body lead you. Let's say it like that. Let your mind and intuition and, your energy, because it's everything together,
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheena Reynolds.
Thank you.